Oh man,
All right.
you tell me to send Yoshi P a dead link?
No, man, he's not gonna see that shit.
Come on, where's the optimism? You came to this community for positivity. You're like, he ain't gonna see that.
Hey man, I gotta be realistic, man.
For all I know, Herman Holtz could just be having a chill ass Saturday. He's like, ooh, someone sent me a link to a PlayStation podcast. Let me watch this.
Yeah,
And he sent him a dead link.
That,
I was fucking up on the mic.
that ain't happening, man. Let's be honest with ourselves here.
Oh my
Um,
god.
all right, so we should be good now. Um,
Yeah, I didn't hear any echo on my part, and then you sounded good before you dipped out, but let me let me go into our videos and delete this.
oh, I just did. You're good.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, so yeah, we should be good to start. You ready?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
cool. All right. Welcome back everyone to the 52nd episode of the Dualshock Sense Podcast. I'm your host, Soul, the connoisseur of anime waifus, joined as always by one of my two co-hosts. We got Macho here. How you doing, man?
What's going on, everybody? How you doing today, Soul?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good.
Same. It was a long week, wasn't it? It felt like March is going by so slow.
At the same time, it's also going pretty fast. I feel like we're almost goddamn through the month, man, which is crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm just kind of lulling now between these weeks until warmer weather comes through, and then that's when the King of Kingdom Hearts and the Final Fantasy fanatic is gonna have some. Everybody, welcome to the Dualshock Sense Podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got a couple cool things to talk about this week. Very excited to talk about them and jump into them. But before we do, I want to remind everyone to go ahead and like the podcast, subscribe to the channel. That would help us out a ton, and we would greatly appreciate it. So yeah, without further ado, let's talk about the games that we have been playing. Macho, do you want to kick things off for us?
Yeah, let's do it. So, this week has been kind of hyper focused on Horizon Forbidden West, actually. For some reason, this morning, which is one of those mornings where like I just got up super early for no reason, as if I was going back to work. I swear, man, I can never get like a really good sleep in day, but I couldn't go back to sleep. Woke up like around 4:30 a.m. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go into my living room and start playing Horizon Forbidden West and platinum the game, and I did. Actually got the platinum trophy, clocked in 78 hours in total with like an 82% completion rate for the entire game so far. Dude, this Horizon Forbidden West is one of the most impressive next gen games so far, bar none. I can't talk any more good things about this game in terms of like the quality of it, and in terms of graphics and just the actual visual and environmental design. Like Guerrilla went all out for Horizon Forbidden West, which I'm sure you're kind of experiencing too, right? Have you been playing Horizon Forbidden West this week, or no?
I have not.
That chuckle told me everything I need to know. Okay, man, but Jesus, man, we just hyped the Horizon Forbidden West, and this man just doesn't play.
Man, man, some unexpected things have been happening in my gaming life.
Hey, I feel that. But no, so Horizon Forbidden West has just been like a complete just surprise, I think, more than anything. I mean, I was already excited because Horizon Zero Dawn, but the second game just goes above and beyond anything I was really expecting in terms of quality content, and there's a ton of it there, content I mean, but a lot of his stuff is just really fun to do, and there's not too much of it, if you know what I mean. Like, I think you experienced it before, like the races, right?
No, I haven't, but I was excited to get into them.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there's not too much of those, which is great because it really just follows all of a quest line. And if you actually reach the end of that quest line, it's a really cool surprise that I got there this morning. Oh, oh god, that's super cool for people that play the first game. But they have some really good stuff in there, and at top of that, the cauldrons, which is the dungeons that you go into, are just so unique and different. Not all of them are like super fun, right? No, but a lot of them are really creative in what they do and their puzzles, and they all are different and distinct, which is also a replication of the tall necks, which are all different in how you actually climb them or even just get to the top so that you can actually scan the entire area to get more unlockables in the area that you're in. So Horizon Forbidden West just completely blew me away. Man, like I don't know what games are really gonna come close to like these graphics other than like Red Dead 2, I will say. But even then, like I don't know, man. The Horizon Forbidden West is like such a looker and it looks great and the art direction's amazing. And the only thing that's really funky is like some of these characters' styles, right? I mean, I always kind of gave a little bit of criticism to the I guess the style of Horizon Zero Dawn, like the way these people dress and the kind of like their makeup stuff like that. That's kind of carried over into Forbidden West. There's a little bit more funky styles. Some of them are actually really cool, but there's other ones where like the Tanakh that have the black and red and yellow face paint that just have their hair in like super weird ways that look like horns. But I don't know what they're thinking with that one, but we're regardless, like that just kind of breeds more into like the depth of like every culture is in Horizon Forbidden West and how each one is definitely unique and different from one another, including like how they actually go about their daily lives and their own cultures and their own beliefs and philosophies. Like a lot of that is really like ingrained inside the game, and you can tell Gorilla worked really, really, really hard to bring that to the forefront and make it interesting and make it fun and make it feel different for every area you're visiting. And yeah,
Yeah,
man,
that's pretty
Horizon
cool.
West is yeah, it's an absolute mind blowing game. Like it's still to this day every time I boot it up and I'm doing some screenshots in photo mode and I'm posting them online. Like I still can't. I'm looking back on my tweets. I'm like, oh man, this is from a video game. Like some of these shots are close to being like concept art beautiful to realistic beautiful to just like you know this is a game, but this is like the best, like the cream of the crop in terms of graphic fidelity and just art direction. Like it's so good.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, you say you haven't had much time with this, so
Yeah,
you don't have much to say on Horizon West, or
only like 10 hours. Um so yeah, I mean my thoughts would be the same as like, what I've said previously in the past, but yeah, it's that was very much sort of my takeaway from the first game, even though I wasn't too like I wasn't the most enamored with like the tribal stuff in the first game, but that was definitely my takeaway from Zero Dawn as well, was just how distinct each of the tribes felt from one another, which I thought within itself was pretty cool. So yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it's cool to hear that it's very much a similar thing here in this one, but it sounds like it's definitely more expanded with the new tribes that they've introduced here.
yeah, 100%. A lot more personal stories. There's obviously some political stuff that goes on between these tribes as well, or just within the tribe. But there is definitely like a lot more personal stories. There's something that I was looking for too, not just kind of like being the mediator between a group and maybe two hotheads. I want to be a leader, or something like that. Like there's a lot more than just that. There's definitely more personal stories. Which something that I was looking for more than anything, because that tells more of a story, but in a smaller scope within that community that I gravitate towards more. But
Yeah.
but in any case, I want to ask what you thought of the gameplay so far, because I know you're not far, but there's quite an amount of new or different variations of weapons from before.
I mean, pretty much just because where I'm at, it's still like the tried and true like Horizon gameplay that I know and love. So I really don't have like anything like new to really add. Like it's still as like every encounter with the machines are still as thrilling as they were in Zero Dawn, which I don't have an issue with. Like a lot of people were saying, oh, it's just like more Horizon or whatever. I'm like, like more Horizon sounds good to me, man. Like that gameplay was so fun, and I love just the ability to be able to chain together. grappling into combat encounters and making them more vertical. It's just more fun, launching yourself up in the air and then chaining together like a shot while you're up there, and then coming back down, right? Like that stuff is just always really, really fun. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it expands, but I mean, so far I've only really been messing with like the bow, I think, and like a little bit of like some melee, but yeah, that's pretty much it. It's still
Okay.
it's still really,
All
really
right.
fun.
Yeah, no, it totally expands more than just Horizon Zero Dawn's gameplay, which, like looking back on it, it looks very like rudimentary, whereas because Horizon Forbidden West just absolutely expands on like the type of your spears that you throw, and that just does so much terror damage when you just want to break apart like different the different parts of the beast and stuff like that. Um, and obviously, of course, you have the tripwires and the traps. Like, to be honest, I love being like in front of these monsters. I love taking them head on because it reminds me of Monster Hunter World, where you're just taking a big sword or like a glaive or whatever, and you're just going one on one with these bosses. And that's what I love doing in kind of like these big like monster hunting sort of games. But for Horizon Forbidden West, I had to be way more defensive because these enemies are super aggressive, man. Especially the later game ones, they would just be all up in your face. And when they're not, they have crazy range attacks. So I had to lure them into like my traps and tripwires, and I found that gameplay style to be so fun near like the last half of the game. Like I never thought I would even be touching that kind of stuff, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I gravitate towards that more and more as enemies started getting a little more aggressive, and just it started to become like a rhythm of me just actually lure them into my traps and stuff like that, which is really fun and super rewarding.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it definitely sounds like a more expanded version of Zero Dawn, which is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
I will eventually definitely get more into it. Um, do you know if Walt has put much time into it?
Probably not.
All right.
Probably not. It's either Elden Ring or the next game that I've been playing the past week, which has been Triangle Strategy. Um,
Mm.
Still a horrible name. Uh, but regardless, the game is actually really fun, man. I think this has potential to be a sleeper hit of the year, um, for JRPG fans and for strategy game fans because it's like looking at it from top down, pun intended. It's a very simplified Fire Emblem game where there's not much going on, at least initially from the first like 10 hours that I'm doing playing the game. But in terms of like the gameplay part of it, there's a lot of chemistry between these characters, in the sense that they really do feed off of one another. So like you have different characters that can build ladders or traps, and then there's other ones that are just straight up the melee kinds, and then there's one character I just recruited. She's on horseback because she also heals, but she can also attack. So I finally have my first like melee attack person. So what I really like about it is that in this game, you're not just sticking with like the same characters for too long. You're actually recruiting characters pretty often, and that's allowing me to change up my gameplay. And the last map I was actually on, there's a couple of environmental hazards, and there's a very specific way to go about this area. And for the life of me, I was couldn't figure it out. And I was at work, I was on my break. I was like, damn, dude, like I really got to like actually strategize now around this damn map, because I have to figure out how to maneuver these characters and these new characters I just got, and how am I gonna actually win this battle. So I'm really enjoying it, man. I just finished, in the story wise, I'm not gonna spoil it, but I just finished one of the bigger spoilers in the game, which is like the turning point where like everything flips on its head now. Like we're talking about like the end of a Game of Thrones season, kind of not cliffhanger, but like finale of sorts. So
Mm.
it's super good, man. It's really fun. I know Walt's gonna absolutely love it, because the 2D HD is just pops off the screen. The music is absolutely in capturing and amazing, and there's a couple of like goofy moments too. But regardless, it's a really good game. I'm excited to play more of it this week now that I finally put the I finally put the bookend into Horizon Forbidden West. I'm excited to dive into that and into Elden Ring. So
Nice, nice. Yeah, I've heard some pretty good things about it. Um,
yeah,
s
Flame from Lords of Gaming Lords of Gaming.net actually gave it a really good score, a really good review too. He gave it a 9.8,
nice.
and it's yeah, he said it's going to be one of his games hard to beat, which is it's something I can see. Even with all the amazing games coming out this year, like
Hmm.
I can see that being someone's like absolute favorite game this year, and it's you love to see it, man. We're officially like these past couple months have been an insane amount of high quality games, and we can't take it. We need a break from these high quality games.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So has that been all for you, pretty much?
Yeah, that's it for this week. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. For me, let's see. Finished. Well, I say finished Dying Light 2 in quotations because I finished the main campaign and went back and finally did that. But there's like an epilogue, and I did. I think it's just like two missions long, but I did the first mission of the epilogue, and then the second one did this thing where like I you have to basically make this trek to this like fortress or whatever. I made it inside and I died from some of the people that were inside the fortress. And what it did was it spawned me all the way outside. So I had to make the trek all over again, and I didn't want to do that. So I turned off the game, uninstalled it, and I'm probably never going back to it again. So um, Macho, let me tell you about this boss fight really quickly. So there's this guy. Named Hakan or Hakon or something like that, who pretty much he's actually like kind of like the tutorial guy. Like he's your friend at the start of the game, and he kind of shows you around the city and how to maneuver around, and he helps you get your kind of wristband at the beginning of the game, your biomarker and all that stuff. Um, some events happen, and towards the end of the game he ends up betraying you, or you find out he was the bad guy all along and all that kind of stuff. um
Oh
literally
man, I kind of hate that plot twist, dude.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, in general, man, I think I forgot who I heard this from, but some video I was watching recently, someone said that they actually prefer Dying Light 1 to 2, and after finishing the main campaign and like halfway through the epilogue, I can see that more and more every day. I also agree. Like I spent like I feel like close to 100 hours in Dying Light 1, and Dying Light 2 I have no interest in going back to ever again. It's so weird. And I actually, before I get into this boss fight, I actually wanted to ask you, have you ever had a sequel to a game where you just ended up preferring the first game to the sequel? Like the sequel just disappointed you that much where you preferred the first game over the second game?
Yeah, 100%. Chrono Cross to Chrono Trigger.
Okay.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger is one of my favorite games of all time. Is still to this day, it's like it's unparalleled. And then I tried Chrono Cross because of all the great reviews and people are saying it's amazing. And then I tried it, played it for 10 to 15 hours, absolutely dropped it because
Damn.
it was just not grabbing me. I'm hoping that with the re-release, I get maybe it rekindles something, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Actually, it's that one, Chrono Cross, and also another one. It actually reminds me of Triangle Strategy 2, the way you recruit members. Suikoden. I don't know if you heard of that
Yeah.
JRPG.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, and then there's Suikoden 2, which is the one that everybody raves about. Could not for the life of me get farther than like 5 hours into Suikoden 2.
Damn.
So I don't know what it is, but I know exactly what you're feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It makes me sad too because this was one of the games I was like really looking forward to. Um, but yeah, so anyway, back to this boss fight. So so you fight Hakan, and he's just like a normal human man. And the first time and it's like a normal boss fight, right? He has a giant health bar that shows up at the top of the screen with his name on it. You whittle down his health halfway, and a cutscene happens that basically interrupts the fight. So that happens, and then you defeat like all his henchmen, and then you two fight again for like round two. His health regenerates all the way to full, and then you fight him again. Um, you actually get him all the way down to zero, and you basically he looks dead as shit, man. Like he's on the floor, like all covered in blood, not moving. His body just goes limp, right, like ragdoll, like a normal dead NPC. And you think that's that. You leave his body where it is, and you progress to the rest of the mission. You exit out through this door. I forget exactly what makes the main character turn back, but he goes through the door. Something happens. He ends up going back out through the door, and guess who's up and awake? Khan. He's back up. The I don't know, the spirit of God or something is in his veins, and he's back up like nothing happened. He's all like bloody. He's got like a black eye. He's like, I'm not letting you leave out of here alive. And
Oh, that's horrible.
you end up fighting him again. His health regenerates back to 100%, and I'm like, what? Like, I literally took an axe to this guy and like killed this man. Like, I'm not hitting this man with like a bat or like a wooden table leg or anything like that. Like, I'm hitting this dude with machetes and axes. I had a katana as well. I busted out my bow and arrow, riddled him with arrows, and he's back up for the third time. And I'm like, what? Like, um, and like I feel like I would have been. And it's funny because I was listening to reviews before this game came out, and people were like shitting on the ending of this game, and I think this is probably what they were talking about. Um, so yeah, it was just really. Thank God the fight itself wasn't anything like too difficult or like like too hair pulling or anything like that. Because if it was, I would have turned off the game like at this boss fight. But yeah, just
Really?
oh, 100%. It's ridiculous to have to fight one boss three times, man. And
Oh
it's
man,
not
you would hate JRPGs.
and it's not like a Souls game where at least in those games where you do have bosses who have like multiple phases, at least those bosses like they go through like either physical changes or the move set will change, right, to kind of like freshen up the boss fight. It's not like that at all with this. Each and every time that you fight this guy, it's just the same moves. He moves the same exact way. He doesn't do anything different. He doesn't challenge you in any way. It doesn't make you rethink your fighting strategy or anything like that. It's literally just you whoever whacks who, more. That's literally the extent of any of the boss fights in this game, really. But especially this one. So yeah, that that was just like as soon as I knocked him out or killed him the last time, I was like, that's that. Let's just move on. Um, so yeah,
Nice.
that is Dying Light 2, man. I honestly don't remember another game that I've been this disappointed in. Yeah, it was weird, man. So yeah, that was Dying Light 2. But
Damn, get your GameStop credit ready.
you know what? I might have to return the headband that they gave me with my pre-order. Um, but
It's funny about that. The Strangers of Paradise, their pre-order at GameStop, I think, was like an actual like cap, like a hat, like what do they call those? Trucker hats. It was a
really?
trucker hat. Yeah, with Stranger of Paradise, like branding on the front. I'm like, who wants that?
Yeah,
Dude, I don't
yeah,
know, man.
yeah. I don't know, man.
Return that headband. Return that
I
headband.
might have to. Might have to. These people got to rethink their their marketing strategies, man. Because something ain't right. Um, but yeah. So
Damn.
so that was Dying Light 2. The other game that I have been playing, and this can kind of lead into our the Batman spoiler talk. Um, is watch it. I've been infected with the Batman bug, man. Something weird happened to
Right,
me.
right. That's what I'm saying.
Um,
I've been reading the comics like crazy on
and
my iPad.
and that's crazy that you say that because this has been extending outside of video games. I literally just downloaded the Arkham trilogy last night. Like that just happened on a whim. But after the Batman movie, I immediately watched The Killing Joke on Netflix. I was
And slightly disappointed
why would I be disappointed?
because what they did to Batwoman or Batgirl. I
Oh,
hate what they did for Batgirl.
yeah, that sucks. That honestly made my jaw drop because I didn't know about that, and apparently like knowing what I know now, just about her character, that's like one of like the defining moments that happens to that character, right? That's what transforms her into the Oracle, right? So like that's a staple in that's like Peter Parker getting bit by the spider. That's something that is always going to happen to that character. Um, so I
Oh,
did.
we're talking about two different things completely. Like
Oh,
that's I'm
you're
not.
talking about the Batman and Batgirl thing that happened.
Yeah, the rooftop scene.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, that's I'm so glad that I wasn't the only one that was like not uncomfortable by it, but I was like, this is weird. So I
yeah,
went on YouTube, and lo and behold, everyone had the same exact thoughts as I did. So I'm glad I
yep.
wasn't alone on that.
No,
Um,
that caused a big uproar when that scene dropped because it just yeah. There's a whole bunch of reasons why it's wrong. There's wrong with it, but yeah, on top of the uncomfortable factor to it, rather, it's just yeah, it's such a weird scene, man.
yeah,
It didn't need to be there. But
yeah.
yeah, on top of that, the killing joke you're talking about. Continue.
Yeah. So, so I had no idea about, Barbara Gordon being paralyzed, that being a thing that happens to her character. That complete,
Oh
like,
yeah,
my jaw was on the floor when that happened. So brutal. And then obviously what
yeah,
Joker
yeah.
does to her afterwards. Um, so yeah, watch The Killing Joke. I was actually contemplating, actually before I found out that there was a movie, I was thinking about reading the comic book, that one, and then there was another comic book that I wanted to read specifically. I forget which one. But yeah, so I was thinking about reading some comic books. And then ultimately what happened was I started watching Young Justice. Uh,
Yes,
yeah.
that show's goated, man. I love it.
Yeah, so started watching that. I think I've only got like maybe the first 2 or 3 episodes I've watched. But yeah, it's really good so far. It reminds me, man. It reminds me of the Teen Titan days, man, which is
Yeah,
another show that I really loved. Um,
yeah. Season one is Young Justice is it's good, but again, stick with it, and then man, season two, three. Ah, man, it's a criminal thing that show is not getting as much attention as it should.
yeah. So yeah, I've been watching that, but more than Young Justice, I've been watching. I don't know if you've been watching or if you have watched the Harley Quinn animated series.
Yeah, yeah, both seasons.
Yeah,
It's fantastic stuff.
it's
Fantastic stuff.
pretty fucking hilarious. Um, so yeah,
Do you
I've
have a favorite character in that one so far?
I love Ivy, man. Poison Ivy is awesome. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
King Shark's my guy.
yeah, he's
He's
pretty cool.
amazing.
I actually
Face
go ahead.
Clayface's like accent and just his entire like everything about Clayface is just like it's an actual joke, but it's so funny. I'm so
Yeah,
glad they played off his character like that.
yeah. I'm on episode 5, I think, when they go inside Harley's mind. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I'm on that right now. Jesus Christ, dude, the gunshot, dude, what the gunshots in or guns in general, in oh my God, in Arkham Asylum are fucking ridiculous. Um, so yeah, so the Harley Quinn series I've been watching pretty much nonstop. Yeah, all the and I love how just like I don't know, it just feels so refreshing that like a I don't know, like a superhero animated show, or just like a superhero show on TV can be like that, you know what I mean? As gory, as bloody, as like unabashedly just like, that character, and just like pulling no punches in both like the subject matter, in the language, in obviously the gore and stuff like that, right? Like I knew immediately, the tone that this show is going for. Literally the first line of the first episode when these like a bunch of like these rich dudes are on their yacht with a giant pile of money on their yacht, and they're about to make a toast, and the guy who's making the toast is like, "My fellow whites." And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, all right, so that's the tone that we're going for. I already love it. Um, but yeah, that show is absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to get deeper into it. And I can't wait for like the last episode that I watched was Harley like trying to find like a nemesis, and it was like Robin was basically like was
Oh yeah, yeah. He was the pain in the ass for all of them.
yeah,
Yeah,
dude. He was
that was a great one.
he's a little shit, man. It
Yeah,
was that was hilarious within itself, and Batman trying to be like a dad to him and stuff like that. Just in general, like if you have not watched the Harley Quinn animated show, absolutely watch it. It's great stuff. Um,
yeah. It's absolutely hilarious. I love it. I really can't wait for season 3 for that. I have to say too that Kaylee Cuoco as Harley Quinn is a home run. Like we
yeah,
have so many great Harley Quinn voices. The prominent one being Tara Strong, obviously,
uh-huh.
but Kaylee Cuoco just does such a great job.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I've been watching that. Also checked out a little bit of the animated series from the 90s.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, did that, and I can't believe like I've seen like some shots like of the animated series, and it's all from that first episode. I cannot believe how iconic that first episode is.
Hmm.
And the fact that I've never seen it, and that like I knew and I recognized like some of those shots immediately, man. It is absolutely gorgeous, that animated series, like right from the get-go. It's incredible like how well it still holds up, because obviously there's some shows from that era that just absolutely don't. Like they still look good, but they've obviously aged, but man, dude, that Batman animated series, it still looks incredible.
Yeah, for some reason, Batman and just more majority of like the animated movies and just the shows in general
Yeah,
are just home runs all the time.
they're
When it
just
comes to the Batman
timeless.
animated series, yeah, 100%. It's the animated series is iconic, and then what's even crazy to that is that the sequel to that animated series, Batman Beyond, is on that level.
See, funny enough, Batman Beyond, I remember watching, like, I honestly don't know if I ever watched an episode of the animated series, but Batman Beyond, I remember watching just like, I don't know, like whenever it aired out of the blue, but like way, way more. I have like good memories of Batman Beyond versus the animated series.
Oh yeah, what they did with that series was just incredible. Just like having like the Robin-esque character, but not Robin, if you know what I mean. He's like the next step for Batman because all his other proteges are kind of just gone and not doing the job anymore.
Yeah.
Barbara Gordon even has a play in that series too, and it's super interesting what happens to her and Bruce like in the past years to be where they are now. Like man, like what Batman Beyond did too, just as a sequel. Like I'm really excited for what they're gonna do next, which is they're doing another Batman animated series headed by Bruce Timm, but I forgot what it was called.
Mm.
But they mentioned it at DC Fandom like a year or two ago, so it's something to look forward to.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, check that out. I think that's. Oh, and then obviously, the very first thing I did after, as soon as I got home from the theater that night from watching the Batman, immediately watched The Dark Knight. Um, I didn't finish it because it was like goddamn like 4 in the morning when I got back. But I got like halfway through it. But still, man, it's still what is there to say about Heath Ledger? Um, yeah,
Honestly,
it's
I think it's just in general all around performances. Just
yeah, everyone's
that
so
that
good.
yeah, that movie is really iconic, and the thing that makes like The Dark Knight and The Batman such enjoyable films to watch is that they're really different.
Yeah.
and you love them for different reasons.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
the thing is that the common thread between all of them, obviously, not just the character in the comics, but just like the things I take off from. So like I started reading Batman Year One, and I finished that, and it's so like mind blowing to see like the influences from both of those movies just from that one comic. And now I'm actually starting to read The Long Halloween, which is
Yeah.
another big influence from for these movies. And it's just
For this one, this new one specifically.
yeah, yeah, and it's so cool to see those stories kind of um, have a new breath of fresh air, but also just like kind of like replicated in the sense. I know it's a little bit contradictory, but it's more or less just like kind of like the tone of everything that they're going for, and it's so cool. But I mean, from the Batman itself, the two comics that the most I related to would be The Long Halloween and my favorite Batman comic, which I highly recommend you read, which is Batman: The Black Mirror.
Okay.
And this one specifically has Dick Grayson and stepping in the role of Batman and figuring out this murder mystery that also involves Jim Gordon and his family. And it's a wild ride, man. Like that comic specifically reminded me so much of the Batman. Highly recommend.
Okay. Yeah, because I was doing some research just in general. Like, I think also one of the things I did as soon as I got home was just like I wanted to know what's the most like effed up things to happen to Batman or just in Batman comics in general. So
It's
like
quite a
that,
lot.
yeah. So that was a lot of stuff that I was just like researching. Um, so yeah, man, it's really fun. So before we get into the Batman, another thing that has happened thanks to that movie is I downloaded the Arkham trilogy. Because I never played those games. I never played like as legendary
Wow,
and
really?
yeah, dude, I miss when I tell you I didn't get like really into like I would say like hardcore gaming until like the PS4 era. Um, I would even say like I did so during the PS2, but like the PS3 is a total like blank spot for me. I didn't play BioShock, I didn't play the original Red Dead. I obviously missed all the Batman games. Like there were so many things I missed in that era because I only played things like the Assassin's Creed series. I only played like the sports games really during the PS3 era, played like Battlefield. Like really like I didn't get into like much of anything during that generation. So yeah,
I'm envious because you get to experience all of these things for the first time, and I
yeah,
wish I could
dude.
do that.
Yeah. So yeah, going through Arkham right now, and I, I only finished the first area, which was the hospital area. So with Scarecrow and Bane. So defeated Bane. The I guess to kind of keep this short, the biggest thing that I will say, and I know that in later installments in City and in Night, it kind of opens up into like a much more like an open world versus Asylum. But what I really dig about Asylum is that it has that Resident Evil 2 feeling of it all being centralized in this one location, right? Like the police station in Resident Evil 2. And here I love that it's just Arkham Island that you're on, and it all feels all like, interconnected, right? Where you have the botanical gardens, you have Arkham Mansion, you have Arkham West and East, you have the hospital section, and it's all just this one giant area that you can kind of just bounce back and forth between. And
I'm so happy you said that because that's exactly like my takeaway from those games. If anything, is
uh,
that at least with Arkham Asylum in itself, the Arkham Asylum area is a character,
yeah,
and that's what makes it so addicting to like keep like going through and like finding its secrets.
yeah, and it also has that sort of police station progression where it's you're just kind of going like room by room, like unlocking, just like slowly unlocking one room leading to the next, leading to the next, um, until you basically have like the whole thing mapped out and you can just kind of explore the rest of it at your leisure. And yeah, I don't know. I really enjoy that formula, especially coming off of like, man, Dying Light, Horizon and Cyberpunk, which are all, three huge open world games. It's refreshing to jump into something that's a little bit smaller, a little bit more restrained. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely enjoying it on purely off of that basis, I think. Um, the combat is kind of so, but I'm purely in it for the characters and the story, and just the premise alone is super cool, man. Like you literally walking Joker to to prison is really cool. Like I love that's how the game starts. That's how the game opens. And then it's sort of like Macho. Like you remember the whole like Sinister Six mission in Spider-Man 2018 where like all of them are like breaking out.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
literally that section made into an entire game, and it's really cool just kind of going through, or what I assume will be going through the entirety of like Batman's like catalog of villains one by one, right? So yeah, I mean, that premise alone is just it's just so cool to me.
Yeah, it sets the tone for like the entire game, and it's man, that's what I'm saying. Rocksteady really hit it out of the park, and they had a gold mine there with Arkham Asylum. Again, they're the pioneers for superhero video games, because before then it was like, okay, they ranged from being okay to good to really just bad. Batman Arkham Asylum was the first one to be like, no, this is going to be one of the greats that people look back on, and it's really cool to see your kind of reflection and your like first first base analysis of the game, jumping into it and being still surprised and kind of in awe of like what they've done. It's been how many years? Like
Yeah,
14 years?
came out like over 10 years because this one came out in 2009. So
Yeah, yeah. So there you go.
yeah,
There you go. Yeah, no, it's really cool what they did with the villains and how they just expanded that with Arkham City. Like it was mind blowing at the time. But as of
yeah.
right now, yeah, Arkham Asylum is that's a special game. That's a special game in my heart because that was the first game on PlayStation that I platinumed.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, it was my very first platinum trophy. It was for Batman Arkham Asylum. I got all those Riddler trophies.
I ain't doing that, but 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 hey, more power to you. Um, but yeah,
Hey,
so
but Macho back then had a lot of time.
but yeah, man. So that's Arkham Asylum. I'm excited to get more into it. But yeah, this kind of leads into our little Batman spoiler talk. I want to know like what did you since we didn't really. I mean, you got to share your thoughts obviously last week.
Hmm.
So for me, I think the the biggest thing that stood out to me in this movie was Gotham itself. And
Well,
this
first,
is
did you like it?
I really dug it. I think the moment like I was man like I don't know if this was like a 10 out of 10 movie for me or like one of the best movies I've ever seen, but in terms of just like pure enjoyment, this is definitely like up there. In terms of like the most like recent movies I've seen in a while. Um, I think the moment for me, and I'm curious, like, when did this moment happen for you? But the moment that I knew that I loved this movie was the Batmobile chase scene. Like the
Yes,
moment
that's a good one.
that you hear that thing going off, like the sound of the Batmobile itself when it's turned on, um, that that was like chilling to me. And then the actual chase itself, like that was one of those moments of like that meme of the guy sitting in the chair with the controller and he kind of like leans forward. That was me during that
Yeah.
moment. Like I was in like all the way in, man. That was such a cool moment. But what about you? Did you have a moment where you kind of like thought to yourself like, okay, I'm into like everything this movie is doing.
Um, I know this is gonna sound like very impressionistic of me because I please easily, but it was honestly just the beginning moments of the movie where Bruce Wayne is monologuing over Gotham City. You start to see this different flavor of Gotham City, right? Because Dark Knight was very much Like it looked like Chicago, like where it looked like an actual city. It
Right.
didn't really like I didn't really get like a sense of Gotham, we got the amazing characters, but not Gotham. And as soon as like the movie starts, you immediately get like this aura of evil and hesitancy and just no hope at all.
Yeah.
And then you had this guy monologuing of like, obviously being Batman, just kind of like what the city is and what he needs to be. And then you see like the criminals around the city start spray painting or doing something obviously criminal like.
Yeah.
And then they just look off into the shadows and they just immediately get terrified.
Yes, dude. That's
And I was
that's
like, oh man, they did it. They
yeah.
did it.
So that's I'm glad you brought that up because that's something else I wanted to touch on is just like Batman is fucking intimidating. Like people are scared of him. He like it, he they made Batman like someone that like I also feel like kind of like you know fearful of, which is pretty cool, and which is why I think like this movie worked for me so well in comparison to like a bunch of like Marvel movies. Is that like I'm not intimidated by like I don't take Iron Man seriously. I don't take Captain America seriously. I don't take like any of those guys seriously. Despite like sure, like I like them, but like it's just like Batman just has this different like presence. Like the moment when you see when you don't even see him in the shadows, but you hear his goddamn footsteps, man. Like
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
done so well and immediately puts you into the perspective of these like just random, no name thugs, right? And how they perceive this guy. Um it was just so well done in making me like actually like fear this guy too. I think that was really well done. But going back to what you were saying about Gotham is that like and this I guess like this isn't really anything inherently like new or like specific to Batman, but I just got like a real sense of it in this movie. Is just like how like the Penguin, for instance, or Falcone, all of these people just feel like they're just like natural. They're people that they feel like they realistically just exist within this city, right? They're
Yeah, like
not
they were actually necessary for like the success of Gotham, I guess.
right. They're not like I don't know what examples I can bring up, but like they're not like they don't feel detached or like unbelievable like something like and I love Venom, right? But they don't feel like that or like something like Doctor Octopus or they feel more in line with like I don't know like a Doctor Connors from Spider-Man where it is these people who exist within the character's life or the world within these superheroes. So I just what I'm trying to say, I just love that Penguin is just this sleazy, kind of mobster, that hangs out at this club. Same with Falcone, right? There's nothing like necessarily like special about them. They don't have any powers, at least to my knowledge, but they're just these guys that exist within the functionality of this world. They're just mobsters hanging out doing their thing and I really love that I got a sense of that. Same thing with Catwoman, right? Just someone who's just trying to make it by. That explains why she's a thief. Constantly doing these heists and things like that. Um, I just really love that you got a sense of these characters are just not necessarily normal people, but they're just people that kind of just exist within Gotham. Um, and
Yeah, like they're within the threads of like what Gotham is, and then here comes Batman, who's under that entire blanket,
yeah.
just ready to mess everything up. And then who's right next to him? The Riddler.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So yeah, I definitely loved and just how different Gotham feels to like the normal. We always see New York City in these movies, right? And it's just like it's the same New York City that we've seen all the way back from the Sam Raimi films, right? It always has that feel, but just like how grimy and dirty and just like lawless that Gotham feels is it's just it was really portrayed really well in this movie. Yeah, so I could talk about Gotham itself all day. I thought they did fantastic in bringing that city to life. So yeah, Gotham was awesome. I'm trying to think of what else. Let me ask you about this criticism that I watched Alana Pierce's review of it, and she wasn't like she titled her video that she liked it, but she didn't love it. Um, but what one of the criticisms that she brought up I thought was really interesting. And I kind of agreed with it the more I thought about it. What did you think about the Batman's theme being used literally like 30 goddamn times in this movie?
It didn't bother me because I love that kind of stuff actually. It sets a real identity for the medium that you're partaking in. It happens a lot with JRPGs and just games in general.
Hmm.
Specifically with Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker has a very specific two sets of melodies rather that's in one song, and those two sets of melodies are replicated and done in different ways throughout the entire game, and it feels fresh every time. I don't know
Yeah.
how the composer does it, but that's how I felt for Batman 2, where like you get the same sense of rhythm, and you can hear it obviously, but they do it differently every time, and sometimes it'll feel more impactful, sometimes it'll feel more, a little more subtle. Like in that race scene, for instance, like that's when's like you felt the majesty of that working piece that
Yeah.
was slowly cemented throughout like the beginning of the movie when you're just being introduced to Batman.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I mean, I love that kind of stuff. I'm a kind of nerd for like that kind of stuff where it has like there's a piece of music that can kind of have a evolution phase throughout the entire movie or entire game.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And like I don't know, it's not even like I had like an issue with it, but it was definitely like the music. I feel like it should be something that like it's weird. Like maybe your philosophy on just like music in general is different, but like I feel like for the most part it should be something that you don't even notice. Like it's just like in the background, and like sure you'll vibe to it, but it's not something that like should take you out of the movie, right? Because it got to a point where like yes, like the car sequence, like yeah, the theme playing in the background just like amped everything up, and it just really elevated that scene. But then there was times like later on where it's just like used over and over and over again, and then like the moment when like I start to take notice of it, and I'm kind of like, oh, okay, like they're playing it again, and it kind of like takes me out for a moment. That's when I feel like it gets to a point where it's like, okay, maybe we're using it a little too much. Again, people may not feel it or like feel that way specifically, right? Like they obviously will probably just like love that's being used a lot. But yeah, that's kind of like how I felt. That the moment
Yeah,
that
I'm more in that other realm. Like I love the fact that they use it a lot because again, it sets that identity. So
which is
like
totally
for me, it's so
which
pronounced.
is totally understandable because it is a fucking badass theme, dude. It's fantastic. Um, but yeah, it I don't know. It just got to a point when I guess yeah, it just kind of took me out of it a little bit, where I was like, we don't have any other music. Like it was
Yeah, I
that.
can see that. Like, yeah, I can see like the soundtrack being like five songs. Like, I'm like if coming out of that movie. Yeah, I can see the five track soundtrack being like 5 or 10 songs
Yeah.
because of the constant reuse of the melody. But yeah, I
Because
see what you
it,
mean.
it it was that and the goddamn opera song that they were playing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
I
it
don't know
was
if that one scene in that correctional facility, right? Or was it Arkham with the Riddler?
uh
He
oh
started
yeah, that he was
singing.
singing it.
Yeah, no, that that said, I was low key laughing, but also kind of like having a chill down by my spine.
But even aside from like,
But I hear what you mean.
but like even aside from it just being like actually like sung, there was moments that they were playing it as like an instrumental, right? Without any like vocals or like the choir.
Oh, I didn't even recognize it
Yeah,
actually.
there was a few times where I think it was in like a few like Selena moments, I want to say.
Really? Okay, and that
Yeah,
that makes me really want to rewatch it then because I don't recognize that.
yeah.
Huh?
And Mahmood said that he loves the Batman theme, and I love it too. I absolutely love it too. But yeah, it was just
Same here,
something
man.
something
Same
that I
here.
noticed. So yeah, really, I mean, aside from that, the performances I thought were excellent across the board. Which is I'm curious to see. how you felt about actually on 2 points.
Mm,
So the the movie theater that I went to, I went at like 10:30 at night specifically to avoid a crowd. And lo and behold,
smart.
there was like 15 or 20 people there, and the worst thing happened. They were fucking like people like my age, but they talking throughout the whole goddamn thing, dude.
Let me just channel in Walt here. You guys want the perfect experience? Oh my god! Yeah, but Walt, we want the perfect experience in the movie theater. I listen. You using a good example right here.
Yeah, man, what's going
So you had
on?
a bad experience at the movie theater. How did it ruin your overall movie theater experience?
At times it did. Um,
Right?
yeah, at
Yeah,
times
I
it
know.
did, but I sat all the way at the left side of the theater, so it was like mostly fine. But like what I wanted to bring up was specifically in pertaining to what's his name, to the Riddler's performance. I was
Mm-hmm.
like I was like sure I guess you could consider it like over the top, but like I found how over the top he was like extremely compelling. Like I was like maybe edge of my seat is probably a little too dramatic, but I was like hanging off of like every word that he was saying. Like I was so just like so focused and like into every time that he was on screen and every time he had a monologue. Like I thought that actor was incredible. And like every time that he was like specifically like doing like the selfie videos or whatever, and he was like, you know, screaming and acting over dramatic and whatnot, like the people that were talking in this movie or like in the theater, they were laughing every time this man was on screen. So I'm curious, like, did you find him over dramatic, or were you into his performance, or how'd you feel about the Riddler overall?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little taken aback by it because my experience with the Riddler is Jim Carrey. I I grew up with that movie on VHS and the time where we had to use DVR to actually record what was happening and then rewind the tape and stuff like that. So, like I that's my experience with the Riddler and kind of his craziness and over the top personality. So to get kind of another window of that, but have it be super dramatic and dramatic in that sense. Yeah, it was a little off putting, but I was more curious to figure out why he was like this
Yeah,
more than anything. And you got your answers in that movie. And by the time we got to that one scene, which is him and Batman in the in Arkham, that's where it all unhinged. I was like, oh my god, he
yeah,
loves him. He is enamored with Batman and like what they can do together. And the strings that he's pulling that you never realize until that very moment. And you see it in Batman's eyes. He's like, damn it. I've been a puppet this entire time. It's
yeah.
it's it's magnificent stuff, man. Like I think his overdramatic personality is warranted because he's like a super twisted reflection of the person he's enamored with, and that's Batman.
And so, pertaining to the Riddler specifically, and during that scene in particular, did you? I guess the big question is, did you think when you were watching the movie, did you think that Riddler knew that Batman was Bruce Wayne?
Dude, I was shitting my pants when they were in that scene. I was like, oh man.
Right?
Does he know? Does he not know? Like, and the thing is, the movie doesn't really blatantly tell you this.
Yeah.
You just assume it as you're, keep on having that conversation. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But either way, by the time that scene ended, Ed told me that he didn't really know who he was.
Right. And it's funny because I needed two spoiler casts. I needed one from the World Girls, who's a really cool channel. I recommend watching them. I needed their spoiler cast, and I needed Alana's spoiler cast to clearly tell me that he did not know. Because I walked out of that movie thinking that he did, but now thinking back on it, it's very subtle. I like that they don't like right out, you know, tell you like you just said, Macho. But kind of thinking back on that scene specifically, if just remembering how like Bruce or Batman, he kind of like walks back into the shadows when it's kind
Yeah.
of like implied that maybe he does know that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yeah.
But then when it finally clicks it in Bruce's head that no, that he does not know that Bruce Wayne is Batman, then you see Batman walk out of the shadows and kind of like steps closer to the Riddler, and I thought that was like, thinking about it after the fact, I thought that was such a cool sort of subtle way to show,
Right.
that okay, no, Riddler actually does not know that Bruce Wayne is Batman. I thought that was really really well done, man.
Yeah, but talk about tension, man. Like talk
Yes,
about
yes,
tension,
yeah,
because you had the same. Because a lot of people are gonna compare that to the Joker scene in The Dark Knight, and that scene in general, like they're two totally different scenes, but the Joker scene in general is just so iconic because of its the absolute essence of Batman and Joker in one scene, and
yeah,
then you're getting this Batman and Riddler scene that's again has its comparisons, but the tension is so different because Riddler is a smart dude. He's a psychopath, but he's smart. And you're an entire time you're like, did he really figure out who Bruce Wayne, well, what Bruce Wayne does at night?
yeah.
Has he really figured it out? Because this entire time, to touch a little bit on Bruce Wayne, he's a complete antisocial uh, billionaire. He doesn't like, you even see in the beginning of the movie where like he's like getting up in the morning and then he has to put sunglasses on inside of his house because he's a complete nocturnal mammal at this point.
Yeah, he's a bat.
So yeah, exactly. So like to see that kind of him hiding in the shadows, kind of reverting back to, what actually reminded me of Peter Parker and Spider Man, where Peter Parker is he's the one nerd that kind of like shelters in who he really is, and then until he puts on that mask, until he puts on the costume, that's where you start to see who he really is, right? The mask is Peter Parker, and the actual character, actual person is Spider-Man. You're
Yeah,
seeing the exact same thing here with Batman, where Bruce Wayne is the mask, and then Batman is the actual person inside of him, and you get to see that, and it's really, really cool to him being on the defensive and being super insecure that this guy probably figured it out.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So yeah, I thought that was really really cool how they did that. I thought Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz,
Perfect,
the sexual
perfect.
tension, man, between them, it was it
My
was
coworker came.
off the charts, man.
My coworker came back the week after we were talking about seeing the movie. She finally saw it, and then she said to she said to me, "Man, I can't believe Batman chose Gotham over Zoe Kravitz. What an
Oh man,
animal!" I was like, "Yeah,
you know
yo,
what? She got a point, man. She got a point.
yeah, she do." I know, but think that what's so funny about that is the legit argument for Batman and Catwoman that's been going on ever since they've been in comics together.
Yeah,
Like, Batman, how can you choose a city over this fine woman over here?
yeah.
It's just so funny. They actually replicated that into the movie.
That's definitely the thing that in my like brief research that I've done between those two, that's definitely the vibe that I've gotten is there's sort of like will they won't they relationship, and it's because of almost like how Peter Parker can never truly have what he wants in life because of Spider-Man, right? And I definitely get the same sense out of Batman that it's kind of like a similar thing of like, man, he
Yeah,
can't
one hundred
have,
percent.
yeah, he can't have the girl at the end of the day because he's he's already committed to another girl, Gotham. So yeah,
Yeah, I know that's the one thing between like their relationship that makes it so fun to just watch and sort of just be a part of. Whether and the thing, it's like it transcends like its own origin. Like it transcends the comics and it goes into the movies, into the shows, and like it's just done so perfectly nearly every time. Like it's such a timeless tale between those two, the bat and the cat.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, absolutely enjoyed those two. Those two are absolutely phenomenal together, and I hope that's not the last time that we see of her because I know she kind of like rode off into the sunset. Um,
Yeah, it's
but
a Bloodhaven though, which is really cool to hear that.
yeah,
Bloodhaven's the obviously one of the neighboring cities of Gotham. It's also the place where Nightwing, who was the first Robin, Dick Grayson, branches off from Bruce Wayne and becomes a hero in that city.
Oh, okay. Cool, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was awesome. And I guess like the last thing that I will touch on for myself personally, I don't know if you wanted to add anything as well. But I kind of hope that they don't, because I know they tease Joker at the end of this movie. I kind of hope that the second movie isn't Joker as the main villain. And I say that because, right, we just got the Joker movie, and obviously we had like Joker is so prevalent, right? Like he is the most iconic villain. You know, he is Batman's rival for all intents and purposes. And I don't know, like we've seen him in just so many iterations of these movies that I haven't seen, but I know that he's practically in like every iteration. Like I feel like he has as many sort of iterations in live action movies just as Batman does. But I don't know, because of that reason, like I feel like, man, like it's so cool that we got to see like Scarecrow in Batman Begins, and we got to see Bane in Rises. Like I kind of want to see, like, let's bring someone a little bit more obscure into this Matt Reeves, if it's going to be a trilogy or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that would be really cool. Like, I don't know. It kind of feels like a shame to be relying on Joker yet again, you know? And then that doesn't even go to say that we also just kind of saw him in Suicide Squad as well, right? So like, I don't know,
Well,
man.
Joaquin Phoenix's Joker
Right.
too. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how you feel about that. Do you have someone specifically in mind you want to see, or are you okay with the Joker again?
Well, that's the one negative I actually have about the movie was kind of like that teaser at the end, which I thought was cool and it was very comic booky. Um, but yeah, it was one of those things where like it felt like it was just there just to be there.
Yeah.
But
It felt
Matt
very
Matt Reeves
it felt
Matt,
very
Matt Reeves knows what
Marvel.
he's doing, so
Right? It felt,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, like the like almost like a. I actually don't know if it was the post credits, but I don't remember. I don't think it was, but it felt
No,
like
no, it
it
was
felt
right at the end of the.
right. And it felt like one of those post credit scenes, teasing teasing the
Yeah.
next movie. It literally felt like one of those, and I agree. I felt like the movie, like it was unnecessary. Like the movie definitely could have done without that. But it's whatever.
Yeah, like I really, if I mean, if we're gonna go into a sequel, what I really would love for them to do is let's get into Calendar Man from Long Halloween. Let's get into. I would love to see that. Let's. I know that's just a stupid name, but like it's honestly. Oh man, you even play the rest of the Arkham games, so you have a really good surprise there. Um, let's get into the Court of Owls.
Yeah,
You know
and then I
that
saw
iconic storyline.
and then I saw Hush as well.
Yeah, that's my next one. I would say let's do Hush, man, because that's a really good one too.
And then there's like
Um,
there's like one that's called like Pig or something like that.
oh yeah, that I think yeah. Again, I'm not gonna spoil the Arkham games for you, but yeah, Pig is actually pretty. That's a pretty dark one too.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
pretty dark.
That's why I bring him up.
Yeah, and
But
then
yeah.
I mean, it's because I'm a fanboy for this villain. I love this villain ever since the animated Batman days, but Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
I know these movies are probably not gonna go that realm, but it's just the entire story and the idea of Victor Freeze is so tragic and is done so well
Yeah, I've
whenever
heard
it is
that.
put.
Yeah.
It's so good, man. It's such a great storyline. You're gonna see in the Arkham games too. You're gonna be like, okay, now I see what Macho's talking about. But like what they did with it in the animated series and everything, like man, I would love for that to actually have a on-screen presence that's not Arnold Schwarzenegger doing it. But yeah, I mean that's. But back to the Joker and kind of like his small presence. Yeah, I felt that was a little shoehorned.
And like to round out this conversation about the villains, the this kind of goes back to like how we opened up this conversation about like everyone feeling like just like a natural, like no one feels like they are a like a sore thumb sticking out or whatever. Like everyone feels like they are a natural, like a realistic just inhabitant of the world of Gotham. And like specifically to like the villains, I like that, Penguin, Joker, the Riddler, and I'm sure there's plenty of others, but like those three specifically, like they don't have like, at least to my knowledge, right? They don't have like any superpowers or anything like that. Like they're just like for the most part like regular sort of people.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
which is one of the reasons why it makes him so scary.
exactly. And same thing with Batman too, right? Like he's just like I mean, he relies on gadgets and stuff like that, but like for the most part, right? He's just like a regular guy, but just like with a brilliant mind. That
Oh yeah,
he
I mean he used the was it the flying jumping suit. He didn't even have a cape when he escaped from police.
Oh, the flying squirrel suit. That's what you mean?
Yeah, yeah, which is like, oh man, he's really like in the beginning phases, man.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
can't even have a cool exit.
But yeah, that was definitely something that I really liked. With in kind of getting introduced to Batman again. That's something that I'm finding is pretty cool about the villains in general. And obviously it's gonna get more ridiculous with people like Mr. Freeze and characters like that do have like wacky and zany abilities. But for the most part, the people that are like just in this movie, and even like Catwoman as well, right? They all feel like regular people, which I think is really cool and differentiates it from some of the Marvel stuff that I've watched, where it's, I don't know, it's obviously more comic booky, more superhero kind of
Yeah,
esque,
yeah.
which is, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just a distinction that I've been noticing right off the bat.
Yeah, on top of that point, just like how comic book either not necessarily like the actual like the nerd part of comic books, more like the tone and cinematography of it all. Because I like again, as soon as the movie started, like I immediately thought back to comic book panels.
Oh, this is without a doubt like the best, like, maybe it's hyperbole, but it's definitely up there for like just in terms of like pure look and how things are shot and the direction of the
Yeah.
shots. This is like one of the
Mm-hmm.
most impressive, like, quote unquote superhero movies like I've ever seen, without a shadow of a doubt.
100%. Yeah. I can't wait to rewatch it.
Yeah, for sure. But that's it for me in terms of everything that I had for the Batman. And I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add, or before we move on.
No, I think that was it. Other than the fact that I think Robert Pattinson killed it, and people that doubted him hang their heads in shame.
For sure.
The
Um,
same thing with Heath Ledger and Joker. Everybody doubted him. He knocked out of the park. Saying Robert Pattinson, he was awesome. He's
yeah,
such a great
for
Batman
sure.
and Bruce Wayne. I loved it.
And it's awesome that, like, similar to Spider-Man, right? That like I love, like, I don't have, out of the three, Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire, like I don't have one that like I dislike. Like I like all three of them for different reasons. And I'm finding it really fun that like I'm currently jumping between, Mark Hamill and Heath Ledger and the what's the one? I don't know who plays Joker in like the Harley Quinn series, but that one, as well as Joker from the animated series, right? I'm just finding it really fun jumping between all these different iterations of these characters, and they're all like, they all bring something different from the table to the table, and I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, that is it for the Batman. Uh, let's well, Macho, why don't you say we jump into the podcast proper and actually start talking about some games?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So Macho, I got a question for you, man. A simple
What's
question.
up? What's up? What's this question?
What the fuck is going on with Gran Turismo 7?
Riddle me this. What is going on with Gran Turismo 7? Let's just say this is one of the reasons why people hate always online games.
Yeah. So where do we even begin with this? This kind of even goes.
I'll just say off the bat, you probably know more than me on this one. I just know off the base of what Gene has been tweeting and random articles from EGC. So
Yeah. So, I honestly really don't know where to begin with this, but essentially, one of the latest updates they had, uh,
well, did you actually buy Gran Turismo 7 or
no,
you haven't? Okay, I didn't either. Just to preface everybody that we didn't buy the
right,
game yet. So
and to actually have like full transparency, and I guess another surprising thing that I never would have expected is that I've been actually watching like this one YouTuber called, I think he's like Super GT or something like that. He's like one of the most popular like GT YouTubers. I've just been like watching like streams of him doing races and things like that. And I've been finding it like really, really relaxing just to watch people race in Gran Turismo 7, which is something that like I never would have expected. So like I actually do kind of want to buy this game at some point. Cause yeah, it just seems super chill. But yeah, anyway, so essentially, some update came out that was busted, and that the team at Polyphony was not able to catch during the QA process. So in order, Yamaguchi-san's reasoning essentially was to essentially take the game offline because this update had the possibility of like wiping out saved data or something like that, which cool, totally understandable. But so yeah, they wound up taking the game offline for more than 24 hours without any notice, which I think is probably the
oh my
big
god,
problem is that they didn't give really anyone any notice of this thing happening. So yeah, they wind up taking the
Jesus.
game offline for more than 24 hours. Um, and yeah, that's sort of the big thing is that like look man, like point blank and period, I'm paying $70 for this thing, a physical copy. Specifically talking about physically. If I buy a physical copy at a store, like I feel like I should have the right to play that game whenever I whenever and wherever I want, you know? And this is literally the curse of these like DRM and always online titles is like yeah, it just goes completely against physical media and this idea of us owning the things that we buy. And yeah, I don't know. I just think it's fucked up that people are paying, $70 for this and they have to listen to they like literally at any point the rug can be pulled out from under them, right? Um and yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty fucked up, man. It's pretty lame.
Yeah, I have no idea what's like. I don't get. This goes back to the point of criticism we had last year. Communication. Like, what's the idea? I really don't get it. And again, it goes back to we're talking about what I mentioned before, just these games always being online, and this is one of the reasons why no one really likes that stuff because now they came and essentially play the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They can't play the game, and yeah, I'll tell you right now, I'll be hella pissed if I paid $60 to $70 for a new game and then it's saying I can't go online or I can't play because it can't go online. Like
And
I
then
can't, I don't know, man.
and then
To me that just baffles my mind.
yeah. And then that doesn't go to we haven't even touched on the microtransactions which reflect the prices of real life cars, man. Which is insane that it is that expensive to purchase some of these cars and things like that. Which which I want to read you this quote because it is goddamn awful from Yamaguchi-san, who is sort of like the shepherd of the Gran Turismo series. So specifically talking about the microtransactions, buckle up because it's kind of long, but this is what Yamaguchi had to say. In Gran Turismo 7, I would like to have users enjoy lots of cars and races even without microtransactions. At the same time, the pricing of cars is an important element that conveys their value and rarity, so I do think it's important for it to be linked with the real world prices. I want to make Gran Turismo 7 a game in which you can enjoy a variety of cars lots of different ways, and if possible, would like to try to avoid a situation where a player must mechanically keep replaying certain events over and over again. He continued, We will in time let you know the update plans for additional content, additional race events, and additional features that will constructively resolve this, meaning the microtransactions. It pains me that I can't explain the details regarding this at this moment, but we plan on continuing to revise Gran Turismo 7 that as many players as possible can enjoy the game. We would really appreciate it if everyone could watch over the growth of Gran Turismo 7 from a somewhat longer term point of view.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's
Buy it now, fix it later.
it's a terrible statement, man. It is a terrible statement. Um, and it's
Wow.
just like it sucks because this game it's a good Gran Turismo. It's a good Gran Turismo game, man. Point blank. Period. It is a good GT game. It is a return to form, and it sucks to see. This is sort of I want to say like the first major foray into the live service formula for Sony. Despite Gran Turismo Sport doing much of the same thing, but this is definitely sort of like the beginning of this new wave for PlayStation. And it just sucks to see that like right off the bat we are falling into the same trappings, the same sort of mistakes that a bunch of these live service games have already made in years past, right? It feels like a lot of those games in the past, like the Anthems, the Avengers, the all those examples, right, have made those stumbles and have made those missteps so things like this don't happen. You know what I mean? Yet they are still happening.
Yep. And they want to get into live service games.
Yep. And
This is one of the things that you don't want to happen. And yeah, this is another mistake to learn from, unfortunately.
yeah. So it sucks, man, because like I said, it's a good GT game. It's a return to its roots, and just to see it mired by these issues, by the fact that people couldn't play it for over 24 hours, a game that you've paid $70 for. That nope, you're not allowed to play it for a day, right? The game that you like, some people, this is maybe the only game that they can afford this month, right? And nope,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to play it for a whole day. My friend actually, this is actually pretty funny. He actually just bought the game, and he doesn't play like too many games, but he actually just got it. I believe on Thursday, I want to say, which is when this stuff was kicking off. He sent me a picture. He was like, "Look, man, I got Gran Turismo 7." I was like, "Ooh." I was like, I think this might be. I think that was the day when people were not allowed to play it. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think about like casual gamers like that. And I'm like, they probably don't even know why this stuff is happening. So yeah, I don't know. It just overall, just a really shitty situation, man. And it's just like, it's so easy to avoid this stuff, like just don't make your game always online, right? Like, I feel like we should have known this already, man. Like this is
Yeah.
why Xbox got their feet like drugged through the goddamn coals back in 2013. Them trying to push out an always online console, right? How did that go for them, right? So like, I don't know, man. Like, this is just mistakes that we should not be making in 2022. There's a reason why people hate DRM. There's a reason why people hate always online stuff, and it's
Yeah.
it's because of stuff like this. Because we don't, because essentially we don't have the fate of when we can play games. It's not in our hands at that point. So yeah, it's just ridiculous, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the reasons why Elden Ring kind of frustrated me a little bit because it would have. I'm playing offline, mind you, but for some reason, it would have like these failed network connection hiccups, and it'll just exit you out of the game. And that could
Yeah.
be like mid boss or stuff like that. And it happened to me a couple times, maybe not in between a boss fight, but like when I was exploring the world, and it just happened. I'm like, why? Why is the game designed like this?
Yeah.
Can we not have it? Like I'm legit playing offline. I don't have PS Plus, so I'm not even playing online. I'm not even connected to the network or whatever case may be. I just want to play the game by itself, by myself, and I'm still getting kicked. So, and that frustrates me. So I can't even imagine these people who are like want to get into the game and they have to log in, and get online, get onto network servers, and they just can't. I think it's the same thing with Hitman as well, right? Hitman 3, we had like an always online functionality, and then they took it off or something like that.
I actually don't remember.
'Cause I think I remember, I think I remember a couple of reviews that I saw where they talked about having to always log in or always be online to actually play the game, and then IO actually like fixed that. Maybe it's just a scenario I'm creating in my head, but I just remember something along those lines like you had to log in just to play the game. But yeah, it's just frustrating. So I mean, shout out to Gran Turismo players for being patient. I know you have no choice, but at this point, I can understand the frustration and want to just return the game after that, like I would, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. People not getting able or not being able to play a game that they paid for.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. What a time we live in, man. What a time we live in. Um, but yeah, that's the Gran Turismo situation. Sucks, man. It really sucks. Um, so with that being said, Macho, let's talk about Hogwarts Legacy. You might have to kind of you might have to shepherd this conversation because I did not watch the state of play.
What?
I did not watch the state of play, but I did see some gameplay of it here and there. But tell me
Oh
about it.
my
What?
god.
But but tell me. What is this? What is this hearing about? What? Let me rephrase this. What is this I'm hearing about it having some persona vibes to it? You being able to actually take classes and things like that. That's true.
All right, so yeah, I mean, I'll break it down the state of play. First of all, are you a Harry Potter fan? I just have to preface. Are you a Harry Potter fan?
When I was a kid, yeah. Now,
So wait, did you read the books and watch the movies, or like was it just like a couple of them and then you're done?
I read the books and I failed all the AR tests that I that I had to do on them. Because I say I read them in quotes. I skimmed through them, but I was definitely much more of a fan of the movies for sure. And
Okay,
I
all
played a
right.
lot of the games too when I was growing up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a big part of it too. Like Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban, those PS2 games were lit, man. I love those things.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. No. So to preface this, yeah, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I love Harry Potter. Like in terms of like my nerdum, when it comes to like the big three, right? Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and Harry Potter. Harry Potter ranks as number two for me, right behind Lord of the Rings and then Star Wars.
Okay.
Because I grew up with the books. I grew up watching the movies. I have a lot of fond memories with friends and just overall the people that I interacted with in general, just on Harry Potter. Like we're all Potterheads, so like there was not a moment where like I wasn't around like a Potterhead, which is actually pretty crazy. Because now I go online, social media, and these podcasts, like nobody watched Harry Potter or like interacted with Harry Potter, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But in terms of the state of play, this is I was really excited for it just for the fact that it could actually be like that dream Harry Potter game we've all been wanting. These fans have been wanting for a long time, right? The open world, no limits, you being your own like character in this universe, going to Hogwarts and just doing your thing. This state of play absolutely fulfilled everything that I wanted out of it.
These are the
Um,
best. These are the best state of plays, man. The ones that are like
yeah,
deep dives into a single game, they're always great.
100%. Yeah, yeah. I mean, because what I was my expectations were high, and it just blew my expectations away because of its scope and what it was doing. What I wanted was moment to moment gameplay, and basically breaking down what you're going to be doing moment to moment, and then um, touching on a couple other stuff and maybe like a release date or something. We got a release window. It's coming out holidays 2022, which I'm skeptical about, but I mean we'll see if it could actually hit it.
Yeah,
This because this game is not just hitting PlayStation consoles; it's hitting Xbox, it's hitting PC, it's even hitting Switch, which is actually really surprising.
that's gonna be rough.
It's a native port, so I think it's gonna be better than usual. But yeah, yeah, it's gonna be a little rough. But regardless, what this really broke down to as like the as a premise of the story is that you're a fifth year student, so you're essentially like a 15-year-old going to Hogwarts, and you're a transfer student. So you're essentially going to be playing catch up like on a lot of your classes, a lot of your magic and spells. So they eliminated kind of the bloat and sort of quote unquote boring parts, right, of early school in Hogwarts from years 1 through 4, like learning like the basics. Like you already know the basics. You're just getting a brush up on everything and learning about this new school and stuff like that. Um, so that's kind of like your shoe into the game and into Hogwarts itself. And what really kind of sold me that they're doing everything right was the art direction. That even if the character models weren't really like the best looking things ever. Like we're not like Guardians of the Galaxy or anything like that. But the art direction, the entire environmental storytelling was just all there. Like it jumped off the screen. As a Harry Potter fan from the books and the movie, I was just blown away. Like the last time I felt that um, enamored with Hogwarts is when I actually went to Orlando and went to the Harry Potter theme park.
Yeah.
I got those exact same feelings watching the state of play because they just nailed the fact that Hogwarts is a character and it's gonna have its own quirks and its own puzzles and its own familiar characters like Nearly Headless Nick, and completely new characters as well because this is actually taking place in the late 1800s. So
Okay.
we don't really have like the 1990s technology, so quote unquote technology that would be like from Harry Potter. Like we're not gonna get like mostly Harry Potter cameos. We're probably not gonna see that. If anything, which is really cool and refreshing because while I love Harry Potter, that's Harry Potter. That's left for the books and for the movies. I
Right.
want something new and fresh and different. Kind of like what the Fantastic Beasts movies were trying to do, but not really. Um, Still pretty good movies, but overall, just it is what it is. But Legacy of Hogwarts feels like it's something that's different but fresh and new, which is something I really wanted out of this. And they pack it in, man. Like just like with Horizon Forbidden West, where like it kind of opens up the more you peel back the layers, and you realize, man, there's a lot to do in this game. It feels like they're doing the exact same thing with Hogwarts Legacy, where not only are you gonna have like those Persona vibes, where like you're going to class and you have to actually do well in your class for potions and for fantastic beasts and spell crafting and stuff like all that kind of stuff that you would do in Hogwarts. Um, but you also have like the side stuff. So there it looks like Quidditch is going to be a part of it too, which is a really fun sport in Harry Potter. Looks like you're going to have the room requirement, which was like a really cool like living organism about Hogwarts that because you're a new student and you need to play catch up on your studies, you actually use the room requirement as like your own personal quarters to catch up on everything that you missed out on. So, and of course that's the video game excuse of like crafting your potions
Yeah.
um, and all that kind of stuff, which is really cool. And then you have the other side of it where I think it's like a kind of like a beast hub, so to speak, but it's really kind of like your own personal home where you actually set up like a mini cottage and you can have like a little farm it looks like and stuff like that, which is like
Oh shit.
really cool. So like, and all this on top of Hogwarts and exploring the puzzles and even beyond Hogwarts, you're going beyond Hogsmeade and the Forbidden Forest and you're actually going your broomstick and flying around. Like there's so much to this game. It's so ambitious
See,
that
this
I
this
was
is
absolutely blown away.
this is why this game is really, and like everything that you just said is really like resonating with me because I am on such a like RPG fix after, and I guess quote unquote RPG because Cyberpunk is like kind of barely an RPG, but like I am in such a RPG fix right now after that game of like really embodying like my own created character and just kind of like going through the daily motions of like the life within, that world. And so for this game to be exactly, sort of the Harry Potter, like we're not controlling Harry Potter, right? We're not controlling anybody from that universe. We are essentially controlling us, our own created character, and the fact that like, very much like a Red Dead, like going through, like, okay, I gotta wake up, I gotta make sure I'm fed, I gotta make sure I sleep, gotta make sure I put on the right clothes, that I take care of my horse, I take care of my guns, right? Sort of that that level of insane immersion that you feel like, yes, like you are an actual part of this world and you're not just kind of like going through the motions. So to for that to be here in this game, to feel like you are like just an actual student in this, right? You get to choose your character, you get to go to class, you have to make your potions, you get to learn spells, you get to compete in like little duels. You take your broom, and I'm assuming there's probably going to be like Quidditch in here as well. The fact that you have like your own like room and farm that you were just talking about and things like that. The fact that it's like that in depth and that much of an RPG, and you also get to pick what school you go to as well, right? Or like which like Gryffindor or Hufflepuff or whatever it is, like you get to pick like which one of that you're assigned to as well, right? The fact that it is that sort of in depth and that much of an RPG is like exactly what I want from like when you say a Harry Potter RPG, this is exactly what I want from that. And the fact that it is delivering on all of that, and that I actually do get to feel like a legitimate like just like student carving out my own story, I think is really cool, man.
Yeah, and that was the one thing I actually came out of the state of play wondering a little bit more of like how in depth is it going to go with the school stuff, and it mentioned companions too. So I was like,
Damn.
what is that really going to lead to? How does that bleed into like the other houses as well? Like, are you going to be our side missions going to be the equivalent to something like this one person's having trouble and keeps being bullied by like a Hufflepuff or a Slytherin or something like that, and you have to help them out. Like I wonder if it's gonna have like those like really smaller stories like that fit a high school ish setting, or what they can really do with it. Because the thing is like what makes Hogwarts so interesting, and one of my I guess not criticism, but I guess one of like my parts about Persona, like the school parts are usually kind of the boring parts, quote unquote. Like I love more the social interactions about it more than just like actually like doing the tests and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Hogwarts, you have that stuff, but obviously it has the fantastical identity of wizards and witches and stuff like that. So there's a little more like a little more to play around with there, which I'm really interested to see what they do, because again, that just adds to the scope of this game that there's a lot going for it. Because Hogwarts itself and the students and everything enveloping it's that's its own beast in itself. I'm like, oh my god, there's a lot to take in there. But then you have things beyond the borders,
Yeah.
and that's what really excites me.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, it's have did you get a sense for like I mean, yeah, did they show like a quest or anything like that in the gameplay? Cuz that is a big question, cuz like this, I don't know about you, but this is a developer that I've never heard of. So like it's a little wild to me. And it's not to say that this is like impossible, but it is wild to me, a developer I've never heard of taking on such an ambitious project like this. It's my skeptical brain is just telling me that there's got to be something wrong here. There's got to be. But like, yeah, have you gotten a sense of the quests, like how like the quality of them, I guess?
No, not at all. Not at all. Because yeah, I mean that's why I had a lot of questions about it, just because I have no idea. I mean, yeah, yeah. It kind of just boils down to just like that's one of the biggest mysteries about this game so far.
Yeah.
Is how's that really gonna play out? And that's what I'm not worried, but that's what I'm really anticipating to see, how that really fleshes out. But this entire state of play was just a complete gameplay overview of like what you're gonna be doing moment to moment, not necessarily like let's show you a quest.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah.
even then, I think one of the biggest things that was definitely displayed and shown very well at the potential of all this was having this sounds weird to say. It's like spell fights. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like wizard fights, using your wand to actually being in combat, so defensive and offensive stuff, and they can make it very easy, right? From past games that when they're limited in their hardware, just having a lock on, have your wizard just throw spells with the face buttons, and have it just be kind of like like a old game, old action game where it's just back and forth, kind of like a stale combat. This is way more intricate, Soul. Way
Yeah,
more intricate.
that's
The
that.
way
Go
did
ahead.
you see actually some clips that were
Yeah, that's what I was gonna mention was that's sort of the things that I saw the most was just like how you can chain together like multiple spells or just like multiple attacks,
yeah.
and
Hmm.
it can get pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I was taking from it too, where I was just like, oh my god, this is actually a really cool idea. Instead of just having one spell, two spell, three spell, like no, one spell goes into two and then goes into three and then chain into four. Like it's so cool, like how they actually figured out how to make it make it look cool actually. Like it doesn't look super goofy. Obviously it's gonna look like a little goofy because it's just basically moving around a stick, but
Right.
regardless, like it actually like all the spells and the animation, the effects like actually look really cool when you see this guy throw out a stun spell and then pull him towards him and then throw him back out or throw like an item towards him. Like they really thought about the combat, which is something I really appreciated because again, coming from the old school games, uh,
Yeah.
from Prisoner of Azkaban and Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets,
It wasn't
that
always
stuff
the
is really
case.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, or even like the Lego games, right? Very simplified stuff, but this they definitely thought about it, which is something really cool and totally out of left field.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, that definitely looked like the most impressive stuff to me about the gameplay demonstration that they showed. But yeah, that's pretty much all that I have. So where are you in terms of excitement level? Is this something that you're like just absolutely like no brainer a day one for you?
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was again as a big Harry Potter fan, watching this was like it was I guess the closest comparison I can make to it was like seeing Final Fantasy VII Remake's gameplay um, when it was actually polished and be like, this is what I want out of a Final Fantasy game. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I want. Like, and from Harry Potter perspective, like, there's obviously I love the games from before, but there's always like that inkling of like, what if they actually done like a full blown Harry Potter open world RPG? What would it look like? And it's this.
Yeah.
It's 100% this. Like, there's so many nods just in that state of play alone to the books and to the movies that it feels like a really great love letter to the entire franchise, which is something I feel like it's been really missing from Harry Potter for quite a while.
Yeah, I think the most
So,
important thing is that like you can tell like you just brought up it being a love letter and it having nods and whatnot. I think based off of that what you just said, what's most like apparent to me is just that these are absolutely fans of Harry Potter that are making this game, and I think that's so important when you're adapting or bringing an IP into like another medium or whatever, is that you need fans at the helm, right? Like I don't know if you saw that interview with like the showrunner or whatever from the Halo TV show,
oh
uh
yeah,
and
I did see that.
him saying, "Oh,
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. How's that going to work out for you?
we didn't look at the games at all." He proclaimed proudly. So
Um,
so so yeah, and I think based off of everything that has been shown and everything that you just said is that I don't think we have that to worry about with this. Is that these are definitely fans first and foremost who are working on this, and that's very cool.
yeah, that was absolutely reflected in the not just the gameplay demonstration, but actually the dev talk afterwards, which was like a good 6 minutes of different production designer. I think even like the head writer, she was also in it too, talking about kind of their experience and what they're shaping up and everything. And you can get the sense of excitement in like their voices and what they're talking about. And obviously, we just seen the game, so like you can. It's not just like veil, it's not just developers talking and say like we have so many great ideas for this game
Oh man, what
and
are
all
you
this
talking
stuff.
about? Are you
What are
alluding
you
to
talking
something?
about? I'm not. I'm not doing anything, man. Man, you so out of Starfield. You so out
Oh,
of field with that.
whoa, whoa.
You
Come
so out
on,
of
man.
field with that. No, I didn't say anything. What are you talking about? It's not just developers talking about ideas. It's like you actually saw gameplay, and you can see their passion kind of reflected in that. And like for one of the production designers, I think he was talking about building things we never seen before. The
Yeah.
Ravenclaw dorm, the Hufflepuff dorm, and right, and
Yeah,
like
for sure.
the things like those Gryffindor dorms and all the four houses have such personality in them, man. Like even in the movies, I think from Chamber of Secrets, if you've seen that one, you've seen Chamber of Secrets, right?
Yeah, I've seen all of them.
Yeah, so like when you see like the Slytherin dorm and like how open it is and dark and dank, like you get a sense of personality just watching that. I can't believe that they actually reflected Hufflepuff in this dorm so beautifully. Like there's like you can tell like that is a Hufflepuff dorm. So I can't wait to see what they do with the Ravenclaw and just the total upgrade they did to the Gryffindor 2 dorm, which is again they're absolutely nailing just the character of Hogwarts, and I think that's what's really important for a game like this. So completely blown out of the water when it comes to the gameplay demonstration, and I hope this game hits its holiday release because I want to play it day one, and I want to play it this year. Like it would make this year one of the best years in gaming. But regardless, yeah, I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, I hope it works out for them too, because yeah, they do seem like they're genuinely excited, and just based off of the way that they talk about it too. Yeah, I hope everything does work out for them, because they definitely have like an uphill battle. So I'm pulling for them, man. I'm pulling for them.
Same,
But
yeah, same.
regardless, I don't think they have to worry about sales or anything like that. Like this game is doing like ridiculous numbers on YouTube, and I think it's also gonna do ridiculously well whenever it does decide to come out. Like this game is gonna sell like gangbusters when it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, that state of play was Thursday, and right now it has a total combined views of like their three different videos of like 5 million,
Yeah, yeah,
and I think what was it, like 3 million just for like the gameplay presentation, the other 1.5 million just for the actual full state of play, which is like those are big numbers, man.
yeah, man, for
So
sure.
it's cool to see Harry Potter fans really excited for something again.
Shit,
So
I have a friend who is like absolutely obsessed with it. Like she has like multiple versions of the books.
yeah, that's my fiance.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like a I feel like she goes because we live in Florida, she goes to Disney like every other week just to go to Harry Potter World or Universal, wherever it is.
Yeah,
Um
Universal.
and she bought a PlayStation just for this game, thinking that it was like a PlayStation exclusive or whatever. But
Wow, no kidding.
yeah. So, and
Wow.
she doesn't play games at all, man. So, um, so yeah, specifically to play this game. But
That's super cool.
yeah. So yeah, it's gonna do gangbusters for sure. But yeah, man, that is the Harry Potter state of play. Um, looks really good, man. Um, so aside from that, let's I don't know how deep you want to get into this topic specifically, but I wanted to kind of touch on the whole initiative situation. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, very, very messy, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, so VGC they broke the news. They did some really good work on this investigative piece, essentially talking about the turmoil that is going on at the initiative. Essentially, it was found out that like over half of the original like lead staff for Perfect Dark has left. I think it's something like over 30 employees, and these are people in lead design positions and like lead QA and
Yeah.
gameplay
There's a
designers.
long checklist. Long
Right.
checklist.
Funnily enough, people who were like left Santa Monica and Naughty Dog, you're seeing return back to those studios. Um, right.
Take me back, please.
Obviously, we knew Drew Murray. He left the initiative and he went back to Insomniac, and now he's like
Yeah.
leading the Wolverine project.
Hmm.
So just like lots of people just like leaving in droves. The article described it as fast and furious. And sort of the impetus, or at least the reasoning that I am gathering for their departure, is a lack of autonomy, creative freedom. Essentially, it's really hard to reach anyone at the top. At this studio, it's a really, I forget how they described it, top down, I believe, approach at the studio. Um, and this really seems to have been like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like really cemented or furthered by the inclusion of crystal dynamics. Them being brought onto this project really seemed to like only worsen people's feelings at that studio. So they bring on Daryl Gallagher, who's the studio head of the initiative. He brings on board Crystal Dynamics to hopefully quicken the development of the game, to make it progress more smoothly. Um, oh no, some hostages are about to die, I think. Um, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
My
Um,
bad.
but yeah, so they'd say they bring on Crystal Dynamics to quicken the pace of development. Um, and a bunch of people were not rocking with that. And my thing is that, like, which I'm curious to see what your opinion on Crystal Dynamics bringing on board in general, what you think about that. To me, and I feel like we said this too, that like it was very weird that they were being brought on board just in general, right? Because like even when they announced it, right, it was like a Friday, and like in well into the afternoon, right? It was just like a tweet. It didn't even get like a blog post or anything like that, right? So even that within
Yeah.
itself was really weird. But then again, of course, we heard people saying like, "Oh no, this is just standard industry practice. There's nothing to worry about here." But we were like,
We're
okay,
outsourcing.
exactly, exactly. Um, but but I stand corrected. Um, but so yeah, that within itself is very weird. And to
Yeah.
me, why this is like with this article coming out, why that's even much more of a red flag now is that like, okay, you have people, disgruntled employees at the initiative who are very much have a problem with the way that this studio is structured, with it being top down, with apparently the heads of the studio being very hard to reach, communication apparently being very very bad at the studio, right? So instead of fixing that, right, instead of taking that feedback within the studio and fixing it, and Daryl Gallagher, the head of the studio, and the other guy, Dan Newberg, being like looking inward to themselves and being like, okay, there is certainly something wrong at this studio with so many people leaving. What if it's us, right? What if there's something that we ourselves need to correct at this studio? Instead of doing that, they say, you know what? Let's just get people who we have worked with in the past, who know our development process. Let's just bring them on board because that is just far easier than actually correcting what is going on inside this studio, right? To me, that is a huge red flag. That they chose to do that, to essentially hire another development studio entirely because they couldn't work with the developers that they had within their studio already. That to me,
It's kind of like buying studios that have established IP that are not really yours and saying they're yours and that you're so creative.
oh
Hmm.
man, what are you trying to say, man?
Hmm.
What are you trying to say?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so that within itself was very like alarming to me. But
Yeah.
yeah,
100%.
that's
Yeah.
my take on the whole situation. The developers, there was multiple interviews, anonymous interviews done as well, and they were saying, that they would be very surprised if the game hadn't gone through a reboot with Crystal Dynamics essentially taking the helm of development now. It's basically not even an initiative game anymore. It's basically a Crystal Dynamics project at this point. And one of the developers was saying or they would be very surprised if it wasn't rebooted at this point. So yeah,
Is Initiative now a quadruple A studio because they're 1A and Crystal Dynamics is a triple A
oh
studios?
man.
Am I getting my math right on this one? I'm just
I don't know. I think you may be off, man. I think you may be off. But I mean that there's that as well. Them, proclaiming to the world that they are the first quadruple A studio, right? That backfired. um, but yeah,
I
what's
mean,
your thoughts?
I know I'm cracking jokes. I'm being messy about it, but in
Just a
in all
little.
serious, just a little. In all seriousness, let's just say that if let's just say if Square Enix was making Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, the composer leaves, Tetsuya Nomura leaves,
Dude,
uh,
the writers left on
Kazu,
this on
Kaz,
Perfect Dark.
I was gonna say the writers for Final Fantasy Remake Part 2, I think Kazuhige Nojima, something like that. Sorry, I'm blanking on names right now. But if the lead creatives on Final Fantasy Remake Part 2 leave, and there's more than 30 of them, right?
Yeah, it was
I
more than
would be
30.
worried. I would be worried
It's
for
bad.
the next game.
It's bad.
I would be absolutely petrified of what the
Anywhere.
next game's gonna be.
If this happened
Yeah,
anywhere, if this happened at a goddamn McDonald's, you're telling me 30 employees at a McDonald's left? That's not
yeah,
concerning?
yeah. So, and the thing is, like, this is like a up and coming project, right? Like, we weren't gonna see the fruits of this thing until like what 2024, the least.
Yeah.
So obviously there's big discrepancy, and you have to wonder if it's because of them trying to uh, pedal the bike that can't go that fast, or if it's maybe because of maybe wanting to filter into the Game Pass model, where maybe it's more episodic, but maybe they don't want to do that. They want to work on something that's actually like a full on game for Perfect Dark, and maybe there's some creators that don't want that. They want this game sooner rather than later.
Yeah, who knows? Well, we don't know what
Yeah,
type of game that is, so
yeah, no, that's why it's like it's so interesting of for like why there's so many people that fell out. Like what were the decisions that were made that to make 30 people leave within like the past year or so?
and these are people in again, like just to reiterate this, these are people who are in lead positions, like who
Yeah,
in their
yeah.
prior jobs are like very high up, man. Like these are
Which is
people.
even which is sorry to interrupt, but like that ties into the point of one of the biggest problems about video game development in general. Not enough lead roles because people just keep leaving,
Yeah.
and there's not enough people with experience, I guess, or just companies just don't want to take the risk on it to give more amateurish, quote lack for a better word,
Or to
to
promote them.
people or for promotion, yeah, for whoever can step to the plate and bring up these ideas and actually do something.
Yeah.
That just brings it a whole nother topic. But back to what you were saying before about the creators leaving.
No. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, it's I not to say that like oh this wouldn't mean anything if it was just like junior positions or whatever, but like
Right, yeah,
but still the fact that these are leads, these are people of like who are high up on the totem pole.
yeah.
Goddamn
These are people that are making decisions.
right, and
You
the
know,
person, the most recent one that we found out, Dan Newberg, he literally I may be getting this wrong, but like I want to say he's like right next to like Dan Gallagher, who were like a co-founder of the initiative. Like Dan Newberg was like really high up. Like it was him and it was Dan Gallagher together. So the fact that this guy left last month as well, he is looking for work right now. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty wild, man.
yeah.
I think
I
it
mean,
tells you all you need
for
to know.
yeah, and I mean for people that don't really see this like as a big deal either. Again, put into perspective that I did, which like take your favorite game that came out or is coming out, and all of a sudden leads from that project just left. Is not going to be the same. Actually, the perfect reflection I have of this is Final Fantasy Versus 13 to 15. When that got a new game director and a new studio, uh, that game completely changed from what it was initially. And for better or for worse, that's a matter of perspective and opinions. But regardless, it changed that project completely. So expect the same with Perfect Dark, unless there's someone at the top that says, no, we're going with this idea. I need you guys just to do that. And it seems like the person pressing that button is really pressing other people's buttons and having them leave. So
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, and then I guess this kind of the other kind of question that this is brought up is does Microsoft have a not leadership but a management problem because like
yes,
there was Everwild was brought up, right? That was the game that I forget when we found out, but like
the devs don't know what it is either.
yes,
Yeah,
so it's gone through like multiple
yeah,
reboots, right? Why was
yeah,
that game announced in 2020 when like they have no idea what that game is? Obviously, Halo Infinite, that being sort of the state that that game is in right now. Now you have
yeah.
Perfect
Well, I think
Dark.
like the multiplayer beta for like what a couple weeks after Forza, which
Yeah.
was weird,
Well, I
and
mean,
stole
just
the thunder from that.
but
That
just in
was weird.
general, of the content rollout has been non-existent for that game, specifically that issue, and the fact that
Right.
campaign co-op and Forge have continued to be delayed, despite them saying that it was going to come out, I think at season 2, and now it's coming a little bit later in season 2. So like a little bit later than originally planned, right? So like all that stuff, and then the numbers of that game on Steam at least like drastically dwindling down to like below 10K, like all this stuff put together. Now you have this stuff with the initiative. Um, so yeah, like does it call into question, their management skills? Because I don't know if you saw the point of in that article them saying one of the developers said that they were surprised at how lenient Microsoft has been with this game specifically.
Yeah, I mean, what's funny is that I remember the interview that the Iron Lords podcast did with the Outer World.
Yeah,
Am I thinking of? Yeah, with the Outer World devs and saying like how much of a breath of fresh air it was to like not be sort of have like a boss hanging over you in terms of your creative freedom and having the ability to actually interact with other developers under that umbrella and to kind of see this is like again it's we're seeing two sides of one coin, which is like this is not different or unique in any way. This goes for any developer, any publisher. But to your point and to your question, yeah, I think it's absolutely a management problem, and I'll even reflect that into Square Enix with their publishing side and say they have a really bad management problem when it comes to quality control. Right, Babylon's Fall, Chocobo GP, uh, Strangers of Paradise,
Balan
and
Wonderland.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, oh my God, yeah, Balan Wonderland. So yeah, I think again, calling the question, but I think what Microsoft has done really well is quality control. Right, they released a lot of great quality games last year, ranging from Psychonauts and Forza Horizon, even Halo Infinite's beta and stuff like that, or multiplayer and the campaign. But again, it's all what's under the hood and what they have cooking: Starfield, Fable, Perfect Dark, Gears of War 6, what's really going on under there. And we just got a really nasty glimpse of what's happening with one of those studios. And it's not good. And it's something that people have touched on before when it comes to Microsoft management. Like they have so much. How are they going to manage it all?
Yeah.
You can, the answer is you can't. You just have to literally take it day by day. And that's just I mean, I would say that even for like a smaller studio or like a Nintendo and its like small amount of studios that they own. Now we're talking about Microsoft, the behemoth right now. You
Yeah.
know,
I think I
which is
think
like I can't fathom like how like the management skills that needs to go into that and like the quality control stuff like that. Like I would honestly lose my mind.
yeah. I think like obviously there has to be a balance between like leniency and like tugging on the leash a little bit, like a little bit, right? Like
Right? Yeah.
you can't like have them kind of do whatever they want, going at their own. But I don't know. It's tricky. Again, there has to be a balance because like they clearly should have stepped in at some point. Like
Yeah, no, that's why they need like a Scott Rhodey or I forgot the woman's name, but the
Connie
ones
Booth
Connie Booth, yeah, that go into these studios and literally pull on the leash, you know, or
or
Shuei Yoshida when he went to God of
I
War
was
to
just
see,
about to bring that up. Yeah, there's
yeah,
that
when
that
he's
famous
like,
story.
this
Yeah.
is, yeah, it's like this is a bad game, like he legit told him like this is horrible.
I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming you watched the Raising Kratos documentary, right?
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, a
I
couple
love,
times.
like
Crazy movie.
they actually talk about that a little bit. Like they showed like when Shu was at the studio at that moment, and like he's in like this meeting room with I think Corey and Shannon, and you just see the look on his face, and then Yumi Yang like is talking about it like afterwards. She's like, so we had a Shu visit, and he was not impressed. And yeah, I obviously
Brutal,
we don't
brutal,
know
man.
what's happening behind the scenes, but like it does make you wonder: is Matt Booty like that? At Xbox, is Phil like that? I don't like. They both seem like incredibly nice people, so like, I don't know. I don't know if they have that. Maybe they do, but I don't know. This thing about them being really really lenient on Perfect Dark when probably they should have stepped in far sooner leads me to believe that maybe they don't have that person like Shu.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's interesting. It's really interesting stuff. Yeah, because I don't know if maybe it's because they're too nice and too lenient with stuff like that, and maybe they're too much of fans, if that makes any sense, right?
Yeah,
To really give like any sort of like criticism or really like hard lines to draw for stuff like this. But yeah, you really need like people that are gonna make decisions and make them fast, because you can't have these games coming in hot like it did with Halo Infinite, man. You really can't. Not
yeah,
anymore. Um, so it's gonna be interesting what really comes out of it. Honestly, yeah, I think if maybe if they get a more of a tighter grip on stuff, like how Scott Rhodey went to what the Days Gone developers went to, and they had like a whole sequence on the golf cart, excuse me, and it was like a 10-minute sequence or whatever it was, and the guy's like, no, you got to shorten that. I remember
uh,
what's his name? The lead writer, John something.
John Garvin.
Yeah, he talked about the story a couple of times where like Scott Rhodey came in. It was we had this whole sequence, this whole dialogue, and Scott Rhodey told us to cut into like 2 minutes.
God,
I was like, you need someone like that, and
yeah,
you really have to wonder if they don't have that. So,
yeah,
but either way, yeah, it's not looking good for Perfect Dark either way.
and like my other thing with them is that like. And this isn't to say that the game is like it's not going to be good because like who knows, maybe this for all we know this thing can be salvaged and maybe when it does come out it will actually be like a really good game.
God,
But
I hope so.
my thing is that like I feel like they announced these games like far too early, and like sure you could say the same thing about PlayStation, but like at least like when The Last of Us is Part 2 is announced, like we got another trailer like in 2017, and then we get a gameplay blowout in 2018, and then we get the state of play in 2019, right? Spider-Man, kind of the same thing. We get the announcement in 2016. We get we get the gameplay blowout in 2017, the following year. I feel like for what Microsoft has announced, like State of Decay 3, that was announced in 2020. We have not heard a peep from that game since. Fable, the same thing. Perfect Dark, same thing. Right, these are all things that were announced in 2020, and Everwild as well. So yeah, I don't know. I
Starfield.
Yeah, Starfield, of course. But that's Bethesda specifically. But yeah, I see
Yeah,
your
they
point.
they operate really weird with like their releases. Yeah.
Yeah, just like in terms of like announcements. So like I would like to see them if they do want to announce these things so far in advance because all those games are still years away. If they're gonna continue to do that, then like I don't know, man. I still feel like we got to see like something. from these things. Keep us updated, not just like keep us completely in the dark. Um, but
Yeah, I mean, it seems like when they started their generation, they like really like restarted their generation.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, we're not going to be seeing the fruits of these labors for quite a while, which is, I mean, if I mean it's fine because they're going to have the rollouts with Game Pass stuff like that, so they keep people in. But yeah, you get to wonder when this stuff is going to come out and if it's going to hit. Um, but yeah, I mean, Perfect Dark is one of the examples. It's not looking good. So.
yeah, yeah.
But by any chance, I think people should still be excited regardless because they still have stuff coming. You know, it's not like they don't have anything coming.
Exactly. This is just
So
one. Yeah, this is just one in the portfolio. They'll be
yeah,
fine, but for a game that they were touting as a quadruple A, it's
yeah,
and
it's a little ironic. Yeah,
and for one of the few studios that they have done, purely themselves, right? This isn't something that they bought, off the market, right? Like this is something that Xbox has like wholly created themselves. So I think that's why it looks as bad as it does because this is them, right? This isn't the fault of you know, the, like I don't know. This is more of a reflection on them than I feel like
yeah,
you know
yeah. No,
any other studio.
that's no, I totally get what you mean, which is why like I made the point before with like they're buying IP and stuff, which is great because it's filling their content, but like what sets them apart, and this was going to be one of those things, and now it just kind of blew up in their face.
Yeah.
So
Yep, for sure. So yeah, that is Perfect Dark in the initiative. That is all I have for topics. But you wanted to talk about the quarry, right?
I'll glance over real quick because it was just a quick announcement that the Until Dawn creators, Supermassive Games, are actually making a spiritual successor to Until Dawn
Don't
called The
don't
Quarry.
don't don't ask me about it. I didn't watch it. Okay.
I was gonna ask you, I was like, did you play Until Dawn, or were you too scared?
Nah, I didn't play
Well, you didn't answer the second part of my question.
it. I watched a Let's Play of it. Okay, sir. All right. That's yeah. I watched a Let's Play of it. So no.
Yeah, that's good. What did you like at least? Did you like you
Yeah,
realize?
yeah, yeah. It was cool.
Okay. Yeah, Until Dawn is actually one of my guilty pleasure games from PS4 because I didn't play it on release, but my cousins played it and I saw them play it and I was really intrigued by just what they were doing with it and it was pretty cool. It's like a campy horror of like those horror movies that I love. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Michael Myers, like all that kind of stuff, right? I love that kind of stuff. So to get that in the video game form with like really notable actors too, which is really cool. I think Rami Malik was his name.
Yeah, he was like Josh, I think his name was.
Yeah, and then you have Hayden Panettiere, who's also like a longtime actor. It was really cool to see that, and Until Dawn is just a very good game, very fun. So the fact that we're getting a spiritual successor called The Quarry, starring a whole bunch of notable actors again. One of them being my favorite, Brenda Song. She's amazing, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
gonna follow
very cool.
this. Yeah, no, I love her in Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and anything she does. Really, she's a really great actress rather. Um, this is gonna follow the same tropes where it's gonna have like the campy horror vibes. Like if you see the trailer, you absolutely get that feeling. But where it's gonna include like go from creepy horror cabin to now we're getting to mythical monsters and stuff like that. So if they follow the same beats as what I'm expecting from like Until Dawn, and what I mean by that is more just kind of like the tone and overall kind of appeal of what makes that makes those movies so fun, then this is something to really look forward to, and it's actually dropping pretty soon. I think. I had it here. Where is it coming out in?
I think they said summer, right?
Yeah, something summer. I think a full reveal is coming March 17th. What's today? The 19th. So yeah, maybe it's just a trailer I just revealed. But yeah, sometime in the summer. So actually coming out pretty soon, which I'm looking forward to. It actually makes me want to go back and play their the horror anthology they've been releasing every now and then. They
I
released like 3 games.
I've been like shocked at like their output. Like it feels like they're releasing something like every year.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was the idea with the horror anthology, like the Man of Medan or Man of Medan, whatever it is, and a couple others that they announced. So like the fact that they've been working on the kind of low key, been working on this bigger budget title, similar to Until Dawn, is really cool. So,
Yeah.
horror movie, horror game fans, you got something to really look forward to. This is definitely going to be a good one, knowing Supermassive Games quality and everything. So, I'm excited for it. I want to see what they bring to the table that's different from Until Dawn, and what they learned from the horror anthology series they've been doing. So, be cool to see, kind of revisit that.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's yeah, it's interesting to see them being paired up with 2K this time around.
Yeah, right. That's new, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, for
Because I
sure.
don't remember. I remember when they said that the 2K announced. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I don't remember that for Until Dawn.
And I feel like 2K in general doesn't really do much publishing outside of, the usual suspects with, NBA 2K and obviously well, I guess like GTA, right? Um
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think what's gonna be nice about the Corey too is that I mean, at least in my opinion, because I'm not one for like super crazy gore or anything like that. What's the one that just came out? Like Martha is Dead.
yeah.
That one game, yeah, where like there's a whole scene in it where like you're peeling someone's like face skin off, and
Yeah.
like that completely just absolutely not. But this falls more in line with like the kind of the campy gore and horror vibe of it. Until Dawn was pretty gory, but it wasn't like anything like horrific. Like everything's horrific, but like you know what I mean. Like not as
Yeah.
traumatic as peeling someone's face off.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know.
Yeah. Um
But
yeah,
yeah, that's it for the Corey.
cool. So yeah, that's gonna do it for the podcast. Yeah, so we're gonna get started with these outros. Once again, I want to thank everyone um, who tuned into the podcast and who watches after the fact. We appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified as soon as we go live. All that good stuff. We will have all of our social media and where you can find us down in the description below. And so yeah, without further ado, we will get started with these outros. Macho, you got anything going on this week?
Nothing but triangle strategy and finally diving deep into Elden Ring. I've been wanting to go back to it, so it's nice that I finally capped off Horizon Forbidden West, and then it's gonna jump into Elden Ring and see what secrets I can cover. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. So, and finishing triangle strategy too. But I think that's really it, man. That's really it for the weekend. Just
Nice.
hoping it goes by smoothly.
No. Nice. Um, yeah,
What are you, man?
I wanna get into Elden Ring, man. I wanna get into it. Um, but yeah, as for me, let's see. Pretty much just still in this Batman fix, man. Good thing is that this was in an era where games didn't take that long, so I'm hearing that Arkham Asylum is only 12 hours long, and I'm rubbing my hands together, man. We're good, we're good. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you're really gonna like that one. It's a
yeah.
good,
It's
good,
it's
good.
already it's pretty sick already, man. I'm really digging it. Um, so yeah, get that one squared away, and then obviously go on from there. I think what's funny is that like Arkham Knight on the PlayStation Store is like something like $20, I think, and then like the version that comes with like all the DLC and costumes and all the add-on content and whatnot, that's like $8. Uh, and it's like
I'll tell you right now, it's all worth it. I have it all. It's all worth it.
yeah, and it's like a deal that I think it ends on like March 31st. So yeah, I'm gonna get that probably today. Um,
Yeah, it's all worth it, man. All those costumes, the challenge rooms. And if anything, if Batman Arkham Knight did anything right, it was all the DLC that came with it to just support it after the release. It was so good,
yeah, yeah.
man.
So
What a highlight of that gen, man. Damn.
yeah, so definitely excited for that. Looking forward to it. Um, But yeah, aside from that, not too much else. Um, but yeah, that's gonna do it for me. That's gonna do it for this week's episode of the Dualshock and Sense podcast. You guys can catch us again next Saturday, same time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 10:30 roughly, barring any technical or audio issues on our end. But roughly that time. Um, but yeah, we will catch you guys next week, hopefully with a full roster. Who knows? But yeah, we'll try. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well, clean yourself up, buddy. Come on, man.
yeah, man, stop heading out to the strip joints, man. Come on, we need you to come back to work, man.
Yeah, man. Come on, bro.
Yeah,
Just have a banana. You're good.
yeah, yes, sir. So yeah, we'll catch you guys next week. Peace out.